Hey man, how's it going? How's everybody doing this evening? We're getting ready to kick it off here real quick. Things are changing. I told you I wouldn't do another update until noon tomorrow, but things are steadily ramping up quickly now. Yeah. Okay. I got the book going here. Let's hope everybody's doing well. We're going to get to the chase here real quick, so hope everybody's doing well this evening. Yeah. So if you're in Florida, you better pay attention. Here we go. So the National Hurricane Center updated their 5 o'clock advisory here. Let's flip the camera around and I'll show you. So they updated their advisory. They moved the track slightly east. We got a hurricane warning down the western tip of Cuba here. And then we got tropical storm watches out for the Keys. Hurricane's going to come a little bit closer to us. The bigger thing everybody's been talking about and watching all week, and really the stories is this is kind of breaking right now at this point, and that is that the GFS is kind of back much closer now. It's stronger. It comes off the western tip of Cuba now, and it's instead of making this big wide loop up, going back up in this area in the Panhandle and then back to northeast, the new 18Z run. It's 944 millibars, much closer now to just west of Tampa with hurricane force winds. This is the 18Z update. And again, these are going to keep changing. And it actually tries to come in toward Tampa. And then that's going to be Wednesday night. And then it sits there for about 12 hours. You can see it sits there. And then it wants to try to pull back to the northwest, okay? That's the new GFS. So it's much closer to Tampa Bay now. So we're now getting more and more consistency with different models wanting to do that, right? This is the Euro from this morning. Of course, it's still doubling down on the Tampa Bay area, right? So the Euro continues with forward here. Had that preloaded, but went to another graph. It continues to double down, coming in. Here's Tampa right up in here. Fort Myers back south there. And it basically comes in really hard, and it basically goes right into Tampa Bay, probably this north of Sarasota, right into Tampa Bay, right? So this is a Euro. The Euro's been pretty much locked onto this scenario here for really the past 4 or 5 days, right? I mean, it's been a little bit south and it's come back north, but you get the general idea. That's been the Euro for a while. This is the GFS. If you just look at the 18C GFS winds, and you look at it, it's you got pretty strong winds coming in, the hurricane conditions as we approach the coast. So the big news is really the Euro's over here. The UK Met is back south, which we've been watching. The other thing that's happened now is the Icon model has now come way southeast. It's even farther southeast now. Instead of being Tampa Bay, it is now trying to bring it in at 949, 948, probably just between Sarasota and northwest of Fort Myers. So I've got the UK model, I've got the Icon model, I've got the BAMS model is also making landfall toward near and south of Tampa Bay. So I've got 6 tropical models now trying to make landfall here. We need to double down. The Hurricane Center, I respect them. I got them on the track, but we're getting to tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. We've got the 48-hour window to start for mandatory evacuations to come out, and I think this is going to happen. I'm almost like at 90% now. Today at noon I was at 60%. I'm going to up it to 90%. We're going to have a major hurricane coming ashore in the western Florida here. It's going to be somewhere south of the key area up here to the north of Tampa on down to just northwest of Fort Myers. But the bullseye area is Sarasota, this area right here, Tampa, Sarasota area. You need to prepare for a major landfalling hurricane during Wednesday afternoon. This is going to be tremendous storm surge as well as upwards of 20 inches of rain on the Euro. Has 20 inches of rain from Tampa Bay up to Lakeland here. This is going to be a major flash flood event as well as far as inland flooding. So you're going to see this. You're going to see the track. I'm very confident now. The NHC track will come closer to the west coast, either at the 11 o'clock advisory or tomorrow morning's advisory. You're going to see watches start getting posted coming up the coast tomorrow, but I think you're going to see evacuation orders start coming out in the morning from down south here, down around Fort Myers, up the coast toward the Tampa Bay area. That's going to happen, right? So if you're in this area, Tampa Bay, West Central, all the way down to Fort Myers, this area right here, you need to be thinking about your evacuation areas. You need to think about water. You need to think about gas. You need to think about, hey, if the power goes out for a week to 2 weeks in this area, if you're in that extreme landfalling hurricane near the eye where you're going to have a lot of wind damage, then you need to think if the power's out a couple weeks, do you have places to go and stay, right? So based on the latest data and what I'm seeing right now, I'm going to up my probability from 60% noon today. I'm up closer to 90%. I have a major landfalling hurricane again on the western part of Florida here around sometime around Wednesday noonish. It might be in that 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Depends on the timing, but in that area. But tropical storm conditions will actually start impacting Fort Myers, the area of Sanibel Island, back south down there as early as later Tuesday afternoon, right? So Tuesday on, conditions are going to start deteriorating. So things are going to ramp up considerably as we get into Tuesday into Wednesday. Again, from Fort Myers area. And again, the wind field is really large on this thing. When you talk about the winds, it covers a large area, right? You're going to have tropical storm force winds covering the whole body of Florida as we get into Tuesday, right? This is going to be a large wind event as it comes in, but the more damaging winds are coming in from the southwest. And again, the models keep telling us this is the zone, right? Tampa southward might be just a little bit north of Tampa. The Ural is some of the most concerning because it actually brings the hurricane into literally, you can see where it's at here. It actually tries to bring it in just on the north side of Tampa Bay, and which is concerning, right? It shoves it to the northeast. There it is, just southwest there, and I believe that's Wednesday afternoon. At 0Z, you can see the eye of the hurricane is just southwest of Tampa Bay, and then I think around 3Z, right after dark, right near that time, it continues to lift slowly to the northeast there. And this is midnight, Wednesday night. You can see it's right somewhere around the mouth of the Tampa Bay area, right? 975 pressure. And a lot of the models try to slow or stall the hurricane in this general area as well, which is going to dump. You're going to have a tremendous onshore flow there in down south of there from Tampa Bay southward. A lot of onshore flow over the afternoon and evening as that thing continues to pound that area, because as this thing moves up, it's going to continue to stay in that same general area, and it slowly pulls to the northeast. So you're going to have this onshore southwesterly storm surge. Fort Myers northward is going to have a huge storm surge from Tampa, Fort Myers. This whole area right here is going to have tremendous storm surge, tremendous inland flooding, as well as damaging winds, right? So this is what I'm seeing right now. This is what it looks like, 6 p.m. here roughly on the East Coast, and as things 6:30. So as things continue to ramp up and change, I'll bring those updates. But like I said, the GFS has now come extremely close, just west of Tampa now on the 18Z run. So I've got the European making landfall at Tampa Bay. We've got the ICOM making landfall just south of Tampa. We've got the Barron models also coming in just near and south of Tampa Bay. UK Mets making landfall just north of Fort Myers. So it's this zone here, right? This is the zone we're going to be under, that we're going to start focusing on. But West Central Florida, the message is get ready for the hurricane, possibly a major landfalling hurricane during the day Wednesday. Tremendous inland flooding with damaging winds along the coast with tremendous storm surge, right? And depending on the angle and intensity of the hurricane, the Hurricane Center will put out a storm surge forecast along the coast here. They'll issue a watch first, and it'll upgrade to a warning. Same thing with the tropical storm warning, then it'll go to a hurricane watch and then a hurricane warning as we get into later Tuesday, into later, probably late tomorrow night into Tuesday morning. You'll have watches along the western coast here. But anyway, get ready for those kind of conditions. Again, if you got loose things outside, trash cans, start thinking about things. If you have 70 gusts over 100, be thinking about those kind of projectiles are going to be flying, right? Plastic, trampolines outside, garbage pails, your trash cans, any of those kind of things, trees that are loose, limbs, those kind of things. You got to be thinking about those things now. If you got medicine, you got to get tomorrow. If you can get it today or tomorrow, it's a good day to get that. Get cash. If power's out for weeks, you're going to need cash to buy stuff at stores or to get out of town. Again, get gas. Gas is going to be one of the biggest problems with this. Talking to different people in the oil and gas situation and federal people in the state of Florida, the gas is going to be a problem across the state. Both the gas supply at stations, we've already seen some stations across the state in the last 24 hours are reporting they're out of gas. That problem will continue to increase in the next 24 to 36 hours as the watches start getting posted and the track moves closer to the West Coast. You're going to see that problem intensify, right? So those are the kind of things you need to start thinking about, and that's what's coming. Yeah. If you're in Tampa, I'm going to tell you, as far as evacuation, you got to listen to your local emergency managers on when to evacuate. I would, if you're talking to Jeff Petrosky, I'm going to get my stuff prepared tonight and have that go bag, have your car ready, get your stuff planned tonight, Call your relatives if you live in this area and you've got inland, family members in Georgia, Mississippi, up north here, out of the path, hopefully out of the path, just in case it turns right farther south. You don't want to be down south here from Tampa south, But again, we're going to have a lot of water, a lot of inland flooding and damaging winds well inland, Wednesday and Wednesday night into Thursday. This is a slow-moving system. When it comes in, some of the models try to stall it, try to limp it northward here, again, producing lots of water, damaging winds, those kind of things. But yeah, if you got family members, especially out of state, because again, if we have damaging winds along the coast here or inland 1 or 2 counties from high winds, the problem is going to be when you lose power. Power could be out week or more in this really tight damaging area, right around the eye, right? That's where you have the most damage and the most damage to the infrastructure as well as the power lines. But you can literally have outages over a large area, right? So those are the kind of things. But yeah, if I'm in the gonna evacuate mode, I'm getting stuff ready tonight. And probably sometime tomorrow before things get really clogged on the roads. Florida's got a couple million additional people live down here now. The roads are always packed. If you live in Florida, you know what I'm talking about. It's busy 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. The roads are always packed. They're busy, right? So the closer we get to the hurricane, the more congested the roads are going to become. It's going to get a little bit more frantic, right? So I think the sooner people get on the road on Monday, later Monday, those are things I would look at. But wait for your local emergency management to tell you to start the evacuations. And I would say there's a strong possibility those orders are going to go out tomorrow morning, sometime around 6 a.m. or 5 a.m., probably for many counties across the western part of Florida, is what I'm hearing locally from people in the know, right? So about 48-hour window. So we'll see how that goes with time and what happens. But anyway, that's kind of my update for right now, right? So yeah, this could be a major disaster. Depends on the intensity, of course. Now, keep in mind, as the hurricane comes north, the wind shear and the shear up across the northern, like from Tampa north, there's an extremely hostile environment up here as we get into Wednesday night, Thursday time frame, right? So as the hurricane comes northward, it's going to weaken. It's going to go from a 3 or 4 down south here. It comes north. It'll probably make landfall as a 3 near and south of Tampa. I'd say a category 3 is still likely. If you get Tampa north, it's probably going to be a 2. If you get up here in the upper bay, it's going to be a 1. Weakening even below that, right? So less impact up here, more of a wind and more of a storm surge. If it decides to track up here, it's not going to be a category 4 up in the northern part here because you got a very hostile wind shear environment up here, right? And a lot of dry air back west is going to rapidly move into the hurricane and get entrained. And as soon as that dry air comes in, this thing will collapse quickly as it gets up in this area if it goes that direction. But a lot of the new models now are bringing it into Tampa, into Fort Myers, in Sarasota, in this area. I mean, kind of across the state or up the middle of the spine, right? So that's kind of the track right now. So anyway, we'll see how this goes, but be situation aware, but things are ramping up. And in the next 12 hours, you're going to hear a totally different tone coming out of Florida, both in the track, the evacuation orders, and where people should evacuate to, right? You can follow us here on YouTube, on Tornado Alley Video, if you're on YouTube, as well as Jeff_Petrosky for updates. We'll try to start streaming live Tuesday through Wednesday. And I think we're in pretty good position to do that here since we're going to be some near major metropolitan areas as well as great cell coverage, right? Also, you need to be thinking about your evacuation zones. Let me pull something up here real quick on Google to show you guys. And if you're in the Tampa Bay area, you should know this. And that is the zone, the storm surge zone, and what evacuation you're in, what zone are you in as far as evacuation. Get this up here. Should have had that ready. Just a second. I'm trying to answer your questions here while that's coming up. Give me just a second here. Looking for something here. Wait for this to update here. So this is the National Hurricane Center, and this gives you kind of the evacuation zones depending on where you live, right? So along the West Coast here, it depends on the category. You can click, hey, if it's Cat 1, Cat 2. So let's go Cat 3 right now. Let's keep it fairly conservative. probably right where the forecast is officially, and we'll look at it. And this kind of tells you the areas that are going to be, obviously there's going to be a lot of, the back bays will flood pretty bad, right? And I can tell you just by the map when it's 3 foot, 6 foot, 9 foot. So everything in red is 9 feet above ground level, right? So if you get a Cat 3, and again, it can't go south of Tampa. If you get a Cat 3 that's coming right here on the north side of Tampa, clear water area where the eyes up in this area, we have this onshore flow out of the southwest where it piles the water up in the backside of the bay here in Tampa. You're going to have flooding downtown. You're going to have water pouring into downtown. This is, again, if it's Cat 3 northwest of Tampa. So this is the kind of the worst case scenario. So you cross the Bay Bridge over there, you go over into Pinellas County, and you see all these areas. You come across the bridges. The bridges, again, this is going to be more of a late Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, Thursday time frame situation where these bridges and on-ramps off the expressways around this area will become impassable with very deep water, both at the on-ramps on these over to Pinellas County, back into downtown Tampa. But a lot of these areas will flood, even in the immediate downtown area. You'll have water pouring into downtown on the back base here. So this is the area, again, if this is a Cat 3 going just north of west of Tampa, these are the kind of water levels. Like everything in red is 9 foot, and then you got 6 foot and 3 foot. That's above ground level, right? So we've got a lot of streets, a lot of neighborhoods flooded, right? If we have this kind of a worst case scenario. This is only in Cat 3, I'm showing you right here. The airport's gonna have water at it. The airport will go underwater. The runways will will be underwater. The terminals will be okay unless it gets really, really bad. But anyway, you can see a lot of this area is underwater, 6 to 9 foot of water, right? All the outer barrier islands are going to be underwater. So these are the things you need to understand, that if we get a Cat 3 coming up into Tampa Bay or south of here, these are the kind of flood problems you're going to have. All the barrier islands, you're going to go way underwater, right? So I toured a lot of this area over the last couple of days, and most of this property is 5 feet, 4 to 6 feet above sea level right out here, okay? And a lot of this will go underwater. If you get a Cat 3 or 4, it's going to be way underwater, right? So this is going to be a big problem. Storm surge is going to be a problem. Inland and flooding is going to be a huge problem. But you've got to know your evacuation routes. You've got to know where you're going to flood. There's so many new people here in Florida, right? So anyway, that's kind of a quick update. But I think by tomorrow morning, the tone later tonight into morning is going to ramp up significantly, both from federal officials, your local county emergency managers, and the National Hurricane Center, as well as the local National Weather Service will tell you wind impacts, timing of those impacts for tropical storm force winds, hurricane force winds, the time of those impacts, as well as flooding. So I would look for a slew of watches and advisors coming out later tonight, and especially tomorrow. They're going to start ramping up, as well as watch all the local media. There's fantastic tropical forecasters on TV here in Tampa Bay, Fort Myers, as well as Miami, Orlando, all over the state. There's just fantastic tropical meteorologists, women and guys both. They're just super fantastic. A lot of them personally, and they're all trying to give you life-saving, up-to-the-minute information with excellent coverage. And these stations are going to be going around the clock once a hurricane gets closer to the coast here, and they'll give you that pertinent information, kind of a county-by-county breakdown, hour by hour, the impacts and what to expect in the coming days, right? So tune into them on your local TV, and also listen to your local emergency management. When they tell you to evacuate, follow the orders, because they're going to come rapid fire once this thing starts. The process of getting people evacuated, those orders are going to ramp up pretty significantly as we get into tomorrow and probably into Tuesday. It's going to really Tuesday's going to be really the crunch time to get out. So anyway, that's a quick update from tonight. That's my thoughts right now as I see it unfolding, and everything tells me we're going to have a landfall on the west coast of Florida. It could be up just northwest of Tampa. It could be south of Tampa, but I think we're going to have a major hurricane, especially from Tampa southward, is increasing based on today's data and this afternoon's data that I'm seeing online. Okay, that's it. We'll give you updates a little bit later, more likely tomorrow now. No more updates today, and that's really about it for today. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.